the Gonadic Force, the force of your gonads, your very testicles. Let's talk about the principal benefits of semen retention. Gentlemen, a subject maybe I've been light on in the past, but it's important for you guys to remember that this should not be a crutch for you to rely all your hopes and dreams on. It is a tool like any other, like fasting, like lifting weights, like cold exposure, like heat exposure. Been getting into the sauna recently. Use it intelligently. Use it intuitionally to facilitate the reality that you would like to see. I'm not against pleasure, guys. This is what you guys mistake. I'm not against pleasure. I'm against attachment to it. And the moment you get attached, you lose everything. You lose yourself. You want to be detached. And detached doesn't mean that you don't own anything. It just means that nothing owns you. Big difference. With that being said, let's talk about what one may come to reward themselves with if they tame their lust, if they tame their inner lower animal nature. Pulled this quote from a woman actually called Lily Adam Beck, who wrote a very interesting book on occultism, I believe in the late 1800s. And one of the profound quotes that I came across was, all sexual forces can be transformed into purest energy. The quote I am often quoting, no energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transformed. Right. And that actually very poetically is going to be a good segue into our first principal benefits, which is quality vitality. So energy can neither be created nor destroyed, it merely transforms into one another. Those who do not use the Gonadic Force to generate new life can use it to regenerate their own. Think about what that energy is in its purest form, the capacity to create life. Those individuals that are using that energy consciously are creating family, are creating the next generation of their namesake, right? And those individuals that are relying on pleasure, well, they're relying on pleasure. They're becoming attached, as I prefaced. Those individuals who recognize that, well, if I don't squander my energy to just pleasure, and it has the capacity to create other people, what may happen if I conserve said energy? May I use it to regenerate myself? And the answer is yes. So the nature of this force is to create another. Same skin, hair, teeth, lung, heart, all the organs. Keeping that potential within ourselves has an invigorating effect unless we were to give it to another. You're talking about the building blocks of human beings. Human beings. It's very interesting that spermatozoa, when you look at the cell, looks like the human spine. Yeah? You've got the nucleus, you've got the tail, you've got the brain, and you've got the nervous system. That's how it starts. That's what you are. You are a very mature sperm. Let's talk about pronounced longevity. So naturally, where vitality is concerned, longevity will not be far behind. We can assume those of pure and quality inner workings have the potential to remain on Earth longer than the average man, as long as this does not conflict with their dharma. Very curious interpretation by myself. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that, of course, when you choose to regenerate yourself, your flesh, your meat suit, as it were, will go on for longer. But you were here for a reason. You sent yourself here for a reason to learn a particular lesson. This is my Vedic teachings coming through here. And if you don't believe it or not, well, you're damned to repeat the same lesson again and again and again. There are very profound sages. One is coming to mind, Swami Vivekananda, who chose to leave his body at the age of 44. He observed over 12 years of unbroken celibacy. You may ask the question, well, Joseph, how come he died so early? Well, his work here was finished. He came here what he needed to do in his particular incarnation, and he went back to source. Let's talk about superior efficiency. Take the following analogy to heart. There are two cities. The power station in the first city supplies fuel to education facilities, science, research, machinery, and to facilitate the future of that particular civilization. The second city power station supplies power to commerce, fashion, pubs, clubs, entertainment, and fundamentally pleasure. This, of course, is an analogy to our sexual energy, that creative, generative force. The sexual energy is, your genitals are the generators of your life. What are you choosing to generate? What are you choosing to fuel? Are you more in congruence with the first city or the second city? And what kind of future are you building towards? Pure joy. The healing of your grey matter, because porn actually reduces your grey matter. It reduces the very structures in the brain that allow you to compete. It reduces the structures in your brains that allow you to engage in competition, competitive behavior. And people are wondering, why do I have no energy to do things, Joseph? Why after my 9 to 5 do I just sit on my couch and watch Netflix and drink Mountain Dew and fall asleep? Come on. So the healing of your grey matter and subsequently your neurochemistry will allow you to experience joy in more novel things. If you're constantly spiking your dopamine centers, you'll become desensitized to novel things. You have a synapse in your brain, and the chemical messages between them, it starts off electric and then it reaches the synaptic cleft. It releases chemicals in the form of dopamine and they bind to the receptors. But if if that cleft is constantly just got an influx of dopamine, the receptors, they lose their sensitivity. So if you abstain, right? Give yourself a break, allow those receptors to clear out all those chemical messengers. When you do, take a nice little walk in the park, get some sun in your eyes and skin, read, have some peaceful contemplation, real food, connect with God. That's the feeling you're missing. You're desensitized. Let's discuss real love, right? And I'm not talking about this modern love. Modern love is selfish, using others as a means to provide happiness and pleasure to oneself and only oneself. Most people use other people to masturbate with. I know, crazy. Maybe a wild thing to say. But if you are of a promiscuous psychological disposition, don't kid yourself into thinking you are doing something any different than finding a new, very real sex toy to play with. With increased fertility and detachment, and detachment from pleasure, you will enter marriage with a healed understanding of what it is to love and create God's family. You have increased progeny as you are no longer sexually abusing yourself. And you will have that detachment from pleasure. You will understand that sex has utility, generation, and regeneration. And I can use this consciously. I can use it to create family. And intuition and spiritual opening, of course. SR cleans the window of the soul and it allows you to move past basic animal instinct into human intuition. This is real human intuition. I'm not talking about instinct. I'm not talking about that animal reflex that you have. I'm talking about something akin to the powers of God, Jesus Christ, Krishna, name whatever deity provides you with that, that oneness with the divine. So recognize that we are not the body nor the mind leads us to the ultimate conclusion that we are a soul, a fragment of God split off from himself to experience his own divinity. Jesus. Wow. You are a fragment of the divine, of universe, of soul. But if you keep engaging in promiscuity, pleasure-bound behavior, you're going to be attached. You're going to be attached to this. This is Maya. This is illusion. This is fleeting. This is the Matrix. Andrew Tate got that part right. And I'm not blaming the Matrix. that seems to be coming out recently, right? It's Maya. That's what the Hindus call it. It's illusion. It's transient. It's fleeting. It's cheap. It's here to facilitate a lesson, right? But if you keep chasing, again, the very, transient aspects of the world, how big's my car? How expensive is my car? How many women can I sleep with? You're becoming attached. And remember, you want to become detached. You want to live in this world, but be not of it. So the truth cannot be realized while one remains attached to Maya. And that, I believe, is the ultimate realization that all of you should be seeking, right? I don't want to get spiritual when you're here, but this is why these benefits come, is because you're realizing why you were put here or why you put yourself here. And that is to recognize your own power, to recognize that you are the creator. Yeah, big bombshell. But it's true. And the more you become identified with the soul, with your soul, as opposed to your body and as opposed to pleasures of flesh, that's when those synchronicities happen, That's when, light starts pouring out of your head. That's when you're getting these kinds of downloads and you can, you see past the transient aspects of the physical 3D realm. But, that's something you're going to have to experience yourself. I'm not going to convince you of it. I can only signpost the way, right? You're driving a car and you're trying to get to your destination and you pull over and I'm just a guy saying, I know where you're going, dude. You just go this way. When you see this particular building, you go left and you go right when you see the gym. And you keep going for a couple miles and you take another left and then you'll see this. You've got no reason to trust me. But I promise you, when you start walking the path, when you start following the directions that I'm giving you, you'll start driving and then you'll make that left. You see that gym and you go, interesting. You'll go on that other distance and you see that other landmark that I said that you should follow and you go, maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. But that's the journey that you're going to have to make yourself. Gentlemen, these are just theories. Take what's valuable, discard which is not, and I'll bring you something else very, very soon. Take care.